Hello, it's Rebecca from Precious Pages Papercraft, and I'm really excited today to be joining in with the Mixed Media Frenzy Hop. It's a YouTube and Instagram hop, and the theme this time around is May Your Days Be Merry and Bright, which is very apt considering today is Christmas Day. So Merry Christmas to everybody. By the time this goes live, it will be lunchtime over in the UK, so I will be knee deep in cooking my Christmas dinner. So as the name suggests, Mixed Media Frenzy is all about mixed media. So the only rule for this layout was to use mixed media and to be inspired by the May Your Days Be Merry and Bright theme. So I started off with some distress ink pads. The first shade I used there was Pine Needles, and then I've come in with a second shade which is Evergreen Bough, and I'm just using the packaging technique, so stamping the ink pad onto my packaging, adding a bit of water and smushing it down on my page. This third shade here is a Dylusions ink spray in Cut Grass, and again I've just dabbed a tiny bit onto my packaging. I didn't spray it because this particular spray bottle goes everywhere and I'll end up with a green desk. So just took a little bit out with the nozzle and added some water. Then I've come back in again finally with some more Pine Needles just to darken that off. So I dry that off with my heat gun and then just check that I'm happy with where my mixed media is sitting. And then I finished my background off with some gold Heidi Shine Colour Swap, and I just used the nozzle just to add some splatters to my background there. And off camera I just use my heat gun to dry that off. I don't ever rub my colour shine with a paper towel because I find it lifts all the shimmer off, and we don't want that. So I always either leave that to dry naturally or use a heat gun. So that's my mixed media background finished. I'm going to move on to my cut file. This particular file I'm using today is called Christmas Trees, and it's by Peartree Cutfiles, which is a relatively new cut file business in the UK. All the files are available either pre-cut or as digital downloads. So this one was released in November. And I've decided I want to leave the main part of my cut file, so all of the trees, white, just as is. I'm not going to alter it in any way, but I wanted the stars at the top of the trees to be gold and have a bit of a shimmer, seeing as I've got that Heidi Swapp colour shine on my background. So I'm just heat embossing them using a Paper Mania embossing powder in tinsel gold, and I just use a embossing pen to make the cardstock kind of sticky, and then the embossing powder sticks to it. Then you set it with a heat gun and it all melts and it just leaves it lovely and shimmery. So once that's done, I'm going to stick my cut file down flat to my background, but I'm going to raise these stars up onto foam pads to add a bit of dimension. And there's the photos I'm looking at working with today of my little boy and his miniature Christmas tree. We had an at-home photo shoot a couple of weeks ago, so we've got some really lovely photos. So I've decided I want a border around the edge of my layout. I do this quite often, I just feel like it frames my layouts really nicely. So I'm just gutting this piece of paper. This is by Photoplay, that pattern paper. It's their Not a Creature with Stirring collection. I've gutted it so that I can keep the middle section and use that on a layout at a later date. So I trimmed my background cardstock down by 1/4 of an inch on all sides, and I've used the blade of my scissors to distress the edges. If you've seen many of my layouts either on YouTube or Instagram, I do like to distress edges on pretty much everything. So the two things I generally always do are distress my edges and add a coloured border to my backgrounds. So as I said, the cut file is going to be stuck down flat, so I just stick the bottom section down first just to make sure I've got it all lined up and I'm not slapping loads of glue all over my background and ruining my hard work. And then I just go back and glue the top sections down. and then I come in with my foam pads to raise those stars up. I do like using foam a lot. I love dimension on layouts. I'm not a massive fan of flat layouts. Something all my layouts have is a lot of dimension, so I do get through a lot of foam pads. Luckily they're not massively expensive, otherwise I would be in trouble. So once I'm happy with that, I then move on to my photos. Now, initially I started off with 2 photos and I wanted to back them with some patterned papers. I was very conscious that there was red in my photo, but I hadn't used red on my background, and that was purposely because I didn't want the red and green inks to mix and become muddy on my layout. So I just stuck to greens for my background, so I wanted to bring in the red to match my little boy's t-shirt and the red on the Christmas tree. So I've just added a layer of patterned paper behind, and I took a few minutes because I couldn't decide if I wanted to map both first with red and then with the floral pattern paper you can see there by Simple Stories, or whether I wanted to do one red and green and the other green and red. So I took a while to decide, and in the end I went with both the same. So I matted them on the red patterned paper first. That red paper is by Pebbles' Cozy and Bright collection. And then, like I said, the second paper, the green one I've used, is by Simple Stories. I think it was called something like Winter Cottage. It's one of their Christmas collections this year. So I've just stuck my frame down. Now I'm happy that everything is coming together, and I'm definitely not going to change my background. I've stuck that down. I'm adding some acrylic perspectives. These are by Bramble Fox, which is another UK company, and they are absolutely gorgeous. I love these. The smaller trees have kind of like a mirrored effect to them, and then the darker trees, one has some lovely stars etched into it, and those two are kind of almost frosted. So I jumped a bit of my video at this point. I couldn't decide on my title. I wanted to initially call it Merry and Bright, and I picked out some gold thickers. You can just see them at the top of the screen there, and I mounted them onto a patterned paper by Crate Paper, fussy cut them out, and I was going to stick it down underneath my photo, but I wasn't really happy with it. So my title swaps and changes a bit throughout this layout. At the moment I've got a chipboard element at the bottom of my photo which says fun. That is by Bella Boulevard. That also gets swapped out in a minute because I just wasn't happy with it again. The tree to the left of that chipboard element you can see there, I've fussy cut from a Pink Fresh Studio patterned paper. I think that collection was actually called Merry and Bright, which is quite apt for the theme of this YouTube hop. So there was my initial title. You can see I'm still undecided. So it hasn't gone in the bin just yet, but it doesn't get used. So whilst I'm just sticking these few bits down, I'll just tell you a bit more about the hop. So today there is a number of us taking part in the hop. The idea is once you've watched my video, you hop along to the next person's video and complete the circuit. So in the description box below, I will put all the details and links to everybody else who's taking part. It will either be their YouTube video or their Instagram account. So please do, once you've finished my video, pop over to the other members' channels and have a look at their videos and layouts too. I know it's Christmas Day, so probably everybody's a bit busy, but at some point it would be great if you could make your way down the list and watch everybody's videos. And remember to subscribe to everybody. It's a fab group of people, and you'll get loads and loads of mixed media inspiration from them all. So please do take the time to have a watch and subscribe to everybody's channels if you can. So here I've pulled out various word stickers. Now these are from a number of different 12 by 12 sticker sheets, so I've got them all here in front of me. So I've got Simple Stories December Documented Collection, Echo Park My Favourite Christmas, Simple Stories Holly Jolly, Cartabella Farmhouse Christmas, and Simple Stories Say Cheese Christmas. So I've got the 4 sticker sheets there, and I've gone through and picked out some white, green and red word stickers, and they read, we've got Happy Holidays, the stars are brightly shining, all is calm, all is bright, counting down the days, making spirits bright, and merry and bright. And I've raised all of those up onto foam pads to bring a bit more depth and dimension to my layout. And then I've added a last one just at the top of my photo there that says Oh Joy, and underneath that I've got a big green bauble sticker. So I'm adding some gold thread tangles to a couple of areas on my layout. This thread is by We Are Memory Keepers and I absolutely love it. It's great for hand stitching and adding thread tangles. Some people do machine stitch with it, but it doesn't like my sewing machine at all, so unfortunately I don't have that option. I avoid it completely and hand stitch. At this point my little boy's come in to say hello, and he's fallen in love with my mirrored Christmas tree and gets really upset when he finds out I've stuck it down with glossy accents and it won't come back off. Bless him, I have to take a break and come back when he's in bed. So here we go with my final choice of title. I've changed it for another chipboard element from the Bella Boulevard sheet that says Filled with Hope, which I thought was actually perfect for this year. After the year we've had with COVID-19, Christmas in the UK is very, very different this year. If you're not in the UK, we have been put into tiers. My area is in tier 4, which means I cannot mix with anybody outside of my household for Christmas whatsoever. I am in complete lockdown. So it will just be myself, my husband and my little boy for Christmas this year. But we are filled with hope that next year will be completely different and we can have all of us around the table like we normally do. So I'm just adding now the last few finishing touches to my layout. Next to my title I've added a flare. That is by another UK company called Dotty About Flare. It's another company that launched this year and they do amazing flares. So I've got one of the mono green flares there, but I wanted to make it a bit Christmassy, so I've added a bauble sticker to it. And I've stuck that down with some adhesive foam behind it to raise it up, and just stuck that with glossy accents. And I'm also sprinkling all over my background a pack of Christmas themed sequins. So I've got red, white, green and gold and some Christmas tree shapes, and I'm just going around with my glossy accents, sticking all of those down. That's pretty much my layout complete. Off camera I do add a row of machine stitching all around the outside edge of my layout, just inside my border there, just to finish my layout off. And that is pretty much me done. So thank you very much for joining me today. I'll leave you with the end of my video and some close-ups. As I said, I'll link in my description box all the other members that are taking part in this hop. So please do, if you get a moment, flip through to their channels and have a nosy, watch their videos and like and subscribe. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, you can find me at Precious Pages Papercraft. Please remember to follow me and subscribe if you like what you see with my layout. So thank you very much, and I hope you all have a lovely Christmas wherever you are in the world. Take care.